Welcome to Moments in History channel. Ready to journey back in time to meet one of history's most formidable empires. Today, we're diving into the dramatic story of ancient Assyria, a civilization that forged a superpower through ambition, innovation, and sheer military genius. Our story begins in northern Mesopotamia, in a city named Aššur, after its chief god. For centuries, Aššur was a modest but important trading hub. But something was stirring. A new kind of ambition took hold, and by the second millennium BCE, Assyria began its slow, steady climb toward dominance. This wasn't just another kingdom. It was the birth of a military machine unlike anything the world had ever seen. So, what was their secret? The Assyrians created the world's first truly professional army. Forget seasonal militias. These were full-time, highly trained soldiers equipped with the latest technology of their day. Iron weapons, iron swords, iron-tipped spears, and iron helmets gave them a brutal edge over their bronze-equipped neighbors. But their real game-changer was siege warfare. The Assyrians were masters of taking cities. They engineered massive, wheeled siege towers that could roll right up to enemy walls, complete with battering rams at the base and archers firing from the top. They dug tunnels to undermine fortifications and used sophisticated ladders for scaling walls. No city felt safe, and their army was incredibly organized. They had distinct units, infantry, archers, and the fearsome Assyrian cavalry and chariot corps, which acted as ancient tanks, crashing through enemy lines. This wasn't just brute force, it was strategy. They also perfected psychological warfare. Assyrian kings weren't shy about publicizing their conquests, often depicting brutal scenes on palace walls to terrorize potential enemies into surrendering without a fight. This military prowess was unleashed by a series of legendary, iron-fisted kings. Take Ashurnasirpal II, who carved out a new, expanded kingdom and built a magnificent capital at Nimrud. He set the tone for Assyrian expansion, celebrating his victories in vivid, often gruesome detail. Then came Tiglath-Pileser III, a true revolutionary. He reformed the army and the administration, creating a more centralized and efficient state. He conquered vast territories and began the infamous Assyrian policy of mass deportation, moving entire populations to break their local loyalties and use their labor elsewhere. It was a cruel but effective tool of imperial control. The empire reached its zenith under the Sargonid dynasty. Sargon II, who founded his own capital, Dur-Sharrukin, or Khorsabad, expanded the empire's borders further than ever before. His son, Sennacherib, is perhaps one of the most famous or infamous Assyrian kings. He moved the capital to the legendary city of Nineveh, transforming it into an unparalleled metropolis with grand palaces, lush gardens, and a complex system of aqueducts. His military campaigns are even mentioned in the Bible, including his siege of Jerusalem. Sennacherib's grandson, Ashurbanipal, was a different kind of ruler. Yes, he was a fierce warrior who pushed the empire to its greatest territorial extent, even conquering Egypt. But he was also a scholar, a man of letters. His greatest legacy wasn't a battlefield victory, but the library of Ashurbanipal at Nineveh. This wasn't just a collection of scrolls, it was a systematic effort to gather all the knowledge of Mesopotamia. Tens of thousands of cuneiform tablets containing myths like the Epic of Gilgamesh, medical texts, astronomical observations, dictionaries, and historical records were collected and catalogued. It was the ancient world's first great library, a treasure trove of knowledge that has given us priceless insights into this ancient world. Life in the Assyrian Empire was a study in contrasts. At the center, in cities like Nineveh, Nimrud, and Khorsabad, you'd find breathtaking grandeur. Palaces were decorated with immense, finely carved stone reliefs showing scenes of royal hunts, religious ceremonies, and of course, military victories. Gigantic stone statues of Lamassu, winged bulls with human heads, stood guard at the gates, designed to awe and intimidate all who entered. To manage this sprawling empire, the Assyrians developed a highly effective bureaucracy. They divided their territory into provinces, each governed by an official loyal to the king. A network of roads and relay stations, the Royal Road, allowed messengers on horseback to carry royal decrees and intelligence reports across the empire with incredible speed. It was the ancient world's version of the internet, a communication system that held the empire together. But the Assyrian machine was built on conquest and control, and this created deep resentment among its subjects. For centuries, the empire seemed invincible. But beneath the surface, cracks were forming. Constant warfare was expensive, and internal rebellions and civil strife began to weaken the state from within. Meanwhile, new enemies were rising on the horizon. The Babylonians to the south and the Medes to the east, both former vassals of Assyria, joined forces. In 612 BCE, this powerful coalition did the unthinkable. They attacked and conquered the great capital of Nineveh. The city was sacked and burned, and the fall was so swift and so complete that it shocked the ancient world. The mighty Assyrian Empire, which had dominated the Near East for 3 centuries, collapsed and vanished from history, its great cities buried under the sands. For over 2,000 years, Assyria was little more than a memory, a name in the texts of its enemies. It wasn't until the 19th century that archaeologists began to unearth its buried cities, rediscovering the magnificent palaces, the terrifying war reliefs, and the priceless tablets of Ashurbanipal's library. Today, the legacy of Assyria is undeniable. They were more than just warriors. They were brilliant engineers, administrators, and artists who created the model for many future empires, from the Persians to the Romans. They built a world of order and terror, of high culture and brutal conquest, leaving behind a story that continues to fascinate and horrify us to this day. They showed the world what an empire could be, for better and for worse. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey into the heart of the Assyrian Empire. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe to Moments in History channel, and hit that notification bell for more deep dives into ancient history. See you next time.